turn on the mic. Here it is, maybe. Hello. Okay, so I'm going to assume I have audio. So what I'll be doing today is I'm going to go through this plan of mine. I'm going to try and share my screen because what I'll be doing is I'm going to take a rather slowish page and I will show you the process of making it a bit faster. So I'll be working on this page here that you can see, and it has some code that makes it deliberately a bit slower. So the idea being it forces the browser to perform some reflow, which is going to be really good for us. I have a sidebar over here. Zooming in. I have this sidebar here, and then join x split x map x, and then return math an array random times 4. Four dot join underscores, and then join it with spaces. So if I go to my page here, I'm looking at the slowish page we have, and in 3 seconds this appears, gives you a really small sidebar with some sort of idea. I'm going to slice it to make it smaller. Slice it from 200 to math random times 400. Zero or something. This will make it an integer number out of the math random call over there. So I'm going to try and see if I can share my screen with some more resolution. It should be nice. There we go. I shouldn't be using too much my internet connection. So here we go. Let's look at this and talk about it and make it a bit better. So first thing you notice right here is I have a single index file. So let's suppose this is a client that came up to me and he said, hey, I would like to make this page faster because I've written a lot of random JavaScript that my designers gave me, and like it's going really slow. So we have this right sidebar with pictures of Cage, Nick Cage, and at the bottom of the page we have this footer of ours. So first thing I'm going to do is to try and randomize the Nicolas Cage pictures. So this here is picking between 5 pictures. I say we need 10 pictures. This is saying we need 200 words. So I'm saying that words are now 10 characters long, just to make that a bit more intense for the reflow algorithm. So here I have 40 images. I'm going to want to slice this down to somewhere between 15 and math random times 30. Do this here. So standard format using npm install -g. All you have to do is to type exclamation point on your keyboard, type your command, just do it. This will install npm. Using npm, it's going to install the standard format package globally. And I want it globally because it has a binary. And on the other side of my streaming studio arrangement thing, I have this here, which is a really tiny Raspberry Pi thing, which is displaying my page on Chromium, and that's just the same page as this one. And yeah, we have our top menu, our Git preview thing. We can start trying to resize the browser, and we can look at this up here, which is the processor, the CPU stats. CPU stats are supposed to show me how much CPU we are using up. We can try and make this a bit bigger, perhaps, but let's not. Oh, interesting. So 75 pixels. Cool. We have a huge Raspberry Pi monitor now. It's still showing the CPU usage. You can also see that I'm only running one task. And the idea here is to try and make this page really fast. So let's start with the basics. Back to my screen. Yeah. So here is the thing. There's the refreshed thing because I want less images on the sidebar. And there they are. Oh, it's using just one. So yeah, I want to slice it from 0 to 30, no, from 10 to 30, no, from 0 to 30. I want at least a small amount of images, and I want to add a number of images to the number I'm going to calculate. Yeah. So I'm going to try and run prettier the JavaScript library on these lines. All you have to do is to select the lines and type prettier. And it takes standard in, standard out, and it makes our code a bit more readable. And because this is a client piece of code, this means that, yeah, it's going to look a bit better for us if we give the code back to the client prettier. And as you can see, this page doesn't have that much code in it. It's just some basic stuff to try and waste some processor time. So I'm just refreshing this. And the Raspberry Pi is counting at 37%, 16%, 1%, 14%. So it's doing some reflows, all right. And they are cheap, but they are not free. And let's try and improve this a bit. So first thing I did was git init on this directory. Initialized empty git repository. I'm going to try tracking my file. Initial commit. You see I'm using some standard git messages. It's abbreviation of what I'm doing, either a feature or a fix or some breaking change, and then a commit message and an optional new line with more text. But I'm not going to do that today. Because it didn't recognize index.html, I need to use git add. Then repeat the previous command using the double exclamation point shortcut. So we have our page over here, and one of the things that's really bothersome in real web apps, web apps that just waste CPU time on purpose. A real good thing about a really bad thing about this is that we're doing a lot of reflows. What does this mean, a lot of reflows? This means that the browser is being forced to recompute the height and width of a lot of elements, and a lot of times, too many times. This menu over here, it's reflowing, all right, because it's a simple list. But as soon as the designer comes in and he says, yeah, so I would like to something, 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 I don't think that this is a nice way of doing menus. So menus with some menus will now be hidden. You may see that I'm using the sub UL. You may see that I'm using the CSS editor straight from Firefox. If you open up the DevTools on Firefox and switch the tab to the style editor, you'll just see it. So hover UL and has sub focus UL are going to have display block, and this gives us a menu. No animations. Opacity 0. Opacity becomes 1, and transition is all 1 second and easing. Oh. I'm not going to use display none, I'm going to use height 0. Why would I use height 0? This is because I'm interested in doing some animation over here. So yeah, as you can see, this is jumping a lot, so I'm not interested in this kind of shenanigans. I'm going to add the class here by adding to the class attributes. Shut up. So when something has a class of shut up, it will always have padding 0. And it's really important because this will stop the goddamn thing from ever twitching continuously in front of our faces. But of course it doesn't like this because the sidebar is above it. And yeah, let's make the sidebar go below this as a real quick fix. There you go. Shit, I ruined my style rules. Yeah. Has sub gets height 0. ULs, I mean. Shut up gets padding of 0, and it's important. And has sub UL has height 0. Has sub focus UL and has sub hover UL. We're going focus first because we're really accessible. Height becomes auto. Opacity becomes 1. And opacity here 0. And transitions is all 1 second and easing. There we go. First bug, guys. Right. No. No. Ha. All right. So maybe this isn't working for reasons. Cool. So if I do opacity 0 and height 0, if I do opacity 0, we're fine. Oh, hover is not typed correctly. Yeah, I added the space between the colon and the word hover. So what we have over here is our first style sheet. This is the style sheet that's going to make everything faster. So style, here we go. Shit, everything is ruined. If I use equals here, gives us a good enough formatting for pretty CSS. The color of the hidden menu is red, and it becomes blue. So I think this should work. If I just resave the thing. I'm refreshing on my Raspberry Pi to check what it's doing. So the top menus are not that complicated, but you might want to have a look at what happens when I hover on one of them. So I'm just going to show you. It's easier. So when I hover on one of the menus, I have a spike in CPU activity that you can see over there. This is at rest, it was between 2 and 10. And that's between 20 and 30% of CPU usage. Do we really want this? I don't think we do, because it's just bad. It's just bad. So if we're on a mobile phone, things will just be messy because we're not going to even hover stuff. And because we're not hovering stuff, then there's a lot of transitions going to happen, because people want to be somewhere between their touch controls and their hover controls, so they end up making some event listeners to try and cram the thing into working in a mobile device, and that's just crappy development. So we have to avoid other people doing it, because we are trying to be better than that. So I'm going to try and indent our CSS correctly here. I think that it's really just some bad Vim configurations that I have. And another thing that comes to mind really is menus are completely vertical. So I would like to make them horizontal. So has sub, has float left, read an editor config from somewhere. Where do I have an editor config? Let's just get an editor config from Node and use it for HTML as well. You may not know this, but if you type a command on top of a line, so whatever, exclamation point, any curly URL, it will give you the results of the command that you run. So here we have a curl, and it gave me just everything I wanted. I'm going to make sure that indenting with spaces and end of lines are correct. And of course, check that in the file as well. Cool. So we have our editors configured. Editor config. Ching. We have something here. So we have our menus on the top. Stuff is working. If I try this on my Raspberry Pi, let's see what happens. Yeah, I see a lot more reflows on the Raspberry Pi. So yeah, the Raspberry Pi, of course, is going to take a lot longer to reflow shit. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try and create a library. I'm going to source it from somewhere. So what I want to do is I'm going to use npm init to create a new package. This package is going to have our output today. So we're going to have an example HTML file, which is the moving stupid page, and we're going to have an actual npm library. It should not be done by today, but I'm going to start it because if I don't start it, when do I finish it? There is no one in chat at this point because this is my first stream. But I should be, this is one of the things that I should be asking chat at some points. If I try and, if I can actually access my stuff. Yay. I can see that there is one person watching and it's probably me. Hey Bruno, yes, exclamation point does execute the last command again. I think I've seen you use it when we work together, you know, but whatever. What I have here is like, we're going to create a visual block manager that will be able to initialize a block, terminate the block. It's going to display the block only when it's visible on the web page. And when it's not visible on the web page, what's going to happen? We have just no block. It will disappear. But instead of the block, to avoid, you know, awkward scroll past moments, we're going to have some default styling / default content. Because when we scroll away from the menu is gone now. And when we go back, menu is here, but at the first or second frames when you start seeing the menu, but it's not considered on screen yet, we will show some default basic HTML. And it can have a tiny default, which is the name of the block or something. So I'm going to call this light. If someone has this package, I will lose my mind. Yes, of course, they have this package. So let's try light blocks. Yeah, boom. And what I'm going to install, which is a kind of thing from Substack that will try and package an HTML file together with a script, and it does live reloads out of the box. And it hopefully here listens on 000 so that I can go on my Raspberry Pi and try stuff out. So I'm going to try and find the documentation to Budo. And Budo is, can I change the index HTML? I think I actually can do this. Okay. Let's just try adding the start script. Budo. The modules being Budo help reveals the options, and we have a live reload extension. That's it. We just have to use the live option. Ooh. It's live, not live reload. Cool. So I'm going to actually npm start. Do I need ecstatic still? I don't care. npm start Budo live 9966. Let's try adding this to our Raspberry Pi. 9966. Oh shit, my dick. Budo is currently serving everything I need. So let's just visit that, shall we? This is our page, but it's going to start reading an index.js file. This index.js file is going to be our example. Alert foo! Will it work? I would like it to work. I would like it to work very much. Yeah, I see nothing. I see nothing working. I'm going to try and get some help again. We have... Okay, so we need to point to index.js before starting Budo. There we go. Can start. Oh, it's already started. I wonder if there's some sort of problem with the HTML that I need to fix, because index.html is just not working. So, oh, no, it's just that I need to add the script with our code in it. Script source index.js /script, go to the bottom of the page, add it, and never think about this again. Never think about reloading again. Go home, have a nice meal, and go to sleep. So there's some HTML highlighting problems, some real ones over here. I'm going to try and keep it down. So this is the example over here. We have this menu and stuff. Try and refresh it over on the Raspberry Pi. It gives you an alert, foo, has some menus. Processor is at 20%. And we're going to try and declare our blocks. So index.js is going to try and require the oh shit, why would I echo the entire package lock JSON? It's going to use our light blocks module. So light blocks equals require libindex. Here it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to console log our light blocks instance, and we're going to have a look to see just how this stuff is really made. How is the sausage made, right? I should not have to reload ever, I think. Module found libindex. I'm going to create a directory for it. What is the V next to the B? Libindex.js. Module exports equals function create block. So it's going to take a DOM element, I think. I'm going to sue everyone who is strict. I'm going to do it. I'm going to actually do it. So please don't let me fail this promise to sue everyone who's strict. Otherwise, I will just be lying to you. It cannot find the modules libindex still. That is very interesting. Maybe because it needs to be refreshed or restarted. I don't want to worry about that anymore. So I'm going to just try and locate our blocks. You've noticed that I've modified our client HTML a little bit to add these content blocks. These are the ones that are shaking right up. So I'm going to try and console log all of these if I do document query selector all for these light blocks, it should give us the result of a query. I hope you work with live reload, please. No. An empty node list. What do I need to do? I'm going to go ahead and install jQuery. I'm not sure. No. I'm going to install that ready. It's a really old school DOM ready component. So one of the things that I want to try and do today is to make sure that stuff is really, really, really simple, and it's also really low level. So we're going to actually use DOM elements and stuff, and yeah. So let's install -save. -save. I think this is necessary. It may have been removed because, you know, Yarn doesn't need it, so NPM has to try and keep up, but yeah, sad. Our chat is still a bit lonely. It's not like we care. Nothing can stop us. So if someone tries to go agile on us, we can say, I have no blockers because nothing can stop me. Which is what I recommend everyone says from now on, every time they get asked that question. We have an empty node list because we haven't required DOM ready. Const DOM ready equals require DOM ready. So DOM ready is this small little package that I really enjoy because it's, you know, small. It needs very little. Oh, maybe the problem is that I'm an idiot and I don't actually need to wait for the page to be ready because I just got the I just got the class name wrong. It's always the class name, guys. Never forget this. So we have our two top divs. We're going to try and detect if they're on screen. There's an npm package someone really clever created, DOM something. So it's DOM on in viewport. So I've created this package a while ago, like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I don't care, out of some very deep frustration inside my soul. And this package is like 80 lines of JavaScript. It also includes support for IE7, I believe. So you have detach event and attach event calls. And it's, okay, 70 lines of code. It's not a lot. We want this this to be really, really, really tiny. So on viewport, package.json, what do you say? Cool. I don't think I want to. Yeah, I don't think I want to use it. Yeah, fuck that. I think I'll just use the raw technology, which is the get bunny client rect. This is like the viewport library. Viewport.js module exports equals a function that takes an element and returns. And returns things. Oh, I've accidentally used the same argument because all of this is so obvious at this point. We need to be really obvious. Oh, I'm not going to sue anyone. And I'm also not going to use paste. Oh, I'm no longer pasting shit. So in viewport equals require lib viewport. Nope, this is actually going to go on lib index. Yep, this is when we actually start to see some real shit happen. Yeah, Bruno is correct. I should have used has sub and the direct sentence modifier, because otherwise we are just going to you know, make all of our menus visible, and we don't want this. This will make only the menus that I want visible. So we're going to create our live blocks. Slice call, just turn that into a bunch of elements. An array of elements. Const elements equals this, and then we're going to light blocks each element. And we are going to stick these on the window. We're going to make sure that there's no window elements already on the page. It says that lib/viewport is not visible. I meant in viewport, but whatever. It's not like we're going to use that anymore. In viewport equals lib/. I need a big V, so I need this to be beautiful. Lib index is going to be our live block function. New live block, which is the element. Are we cool? So this is going to be /in viewport. I've just taken away the sound to have some water. I don't want to have anyone bothered by my saliva moving in my mouth. So we have our blocks. We have our shit. We can totally do this. Where is float right? Didn't I add float rights here? I did. Okay, we're good. Yeah, I'm not freaking out. Yeah, the thing is, I'm floating right too deep in the tree. I want to try and float right a bit above. I think that this is actually making the page slower. I have no way of proving it, and I don't give a shit. Well, float right, because the other one is floating left. So let's see what happens. Where are the images? Here are the images. They're not floating right. They have no fucking idea what they're doing. And their width is not 20% yet. But it doesn't actually matter what the widths of these are. I need to make sure that these elements, people are going to allow me to modify these elements at will. All of these elements, all the elements that we receive, and we expect none of that. Let's modify those elements ourselves bullshit. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and wrap our content blocks with the actual jiggly blocks, right? So div class equals jiggly block, and I'm going to take out the jiggly to end the jiggly block div here, and I'm going to create another jiggly block div for blocking our jigglies. So here div class equals jiggly block. It ends here, I think. and another one. Beautiful. So, shut. Padding. Very good. So I'm going to only select the jiggly blocks. Chat is a bit silent today. Good morning, everyone. Back to our slowish page. I'm going to try and instantiate these blocks. They're going to need some methods, right? So on index.js, we're going to try and define what these blocks want to look like. So taking each element out of our map over here, we're going to map light blocks using the elements, and then we're going to use some options. And yeah, I want to try and actually pick up on each one of these from the index.html file. So, so the top content block, the worst thing that you can do is like have your shit completely undefined and like, oh, it's an array of elements and you use data attributes to try and configure them. Yeah, you can totally do that. It works really well with Angular, which a lot of people like, but I prefer to. I'm going to try and handle these individually. So to handle these individually, I need to identify them using a simple ID. So here's the ID of the first one. This is the one that's the HTML CSS hover menus. So let's call it let's call it block hover menu, right? Then we have our sidebar, I hope. Block sidebar. I thought I was being dumb. Here we have our git view, block git. And after the git view, we have our footer, block footer. So I'm going to try and search over this, ID equals. So all my IDs now have quotes. So starting from the top and splitting into the index.js file, I'm going to try and collect these elements. Const elements, no, const blocks equals. It's the block hover menu, and then it's the block sidebar. After that, we have the block git. After block git, we have the block footer. So let me just take this out. These are going to need to be strings. And I'm going to map these. And I'm going to return the ID. No, do I? No. I'm just going to take the names out here. I'm going to have as well the elements themselves, of course. And it's going to be blocks.map. And it's going to map the ID to document get element by ID. After that, I'm going to create a function get block, which takes a string, which is a name, and it's going to return blocks. No, it's going to try and figure out which one of them it is. So it's going to be blocks.filter. Elements. Interesting. So let ID equals 0. So blocks dot for each. It's going to take a block and an integer. If block equals the name, then ID equals I. So I'm going to assert that ID is not undefined. And don't get me started over initializing variables or not. Assert require. We assert that the ID is not undefined. This is how I try and do tests all over my code base. I just drop assertions. It helps a bit. So this is going to return the elements with the correct ID. I see someone's retracting messages. Oh, this is fake, you say. Well, shut up. Yeah, that's all I have to say. So we have here a get block function, and this function is going to get us the blocks that we want. So I'm going to want the hover menu. Oh, before I even do that, I want to start. Let's try and do them one by one. So if we did block hover menu, we get the block of the hover menu const block what block footer equals. Notice how I don't care what the order of this is. This is because I don't want to be biased toward showing any piece of content first. So, oh, the sidebar. The sidebar. So, the sidebar is going to be really fun. So now we have our blocks inside variables, very convenient. We want to try and use the light blocks library. So I'm going to try and create the light blocks equals light blocks of the block hover menu, and this just repeats over 4 times because we're creating a library and everything is really easy. And no, it's not Photoshop. Hit and the sidebar. Cool. And we're going to try and see what comes out of this. So new light block elements, and we're going to have some options. Of course, right? If we don't have options, what kind of library are we building? Assertion error false equals true. Well, that's debatable, but saying that ID is undefined for block what? Oh, it's probably block sidebar. Block sidebar. There we go. And we have no options just yet. So the first thing that we want to do is to try and track whether an element is inside the viewport. And what we're going to do is to try and create a couple listeners. So one for each live block. And I'm going to add the live block, which is going to be the element and the options. And I'm going to return the live block. Maybe we're going to have some plus. Oh my. Cool. So I'm going to assign the variables in it to this. I'm going to seal the object just in case, and then I return the live block. So what do we do now? We add the object to the listeners. Lowercase l. And because we are in the listeners, we can now try and do some stuff with the object. So here we have a scroll listener and a resize listener. Listener scroll. Whatever. So we have our function scroll rate, whatever, and we're going to have a last event. So if last event is not null, then last event equals new date. No, date dot now. And if last event minus, if date now minus last event is less than, let's see, 400 millis, then last event becomes date dot now, and else we return. So we can join these two conditions. If last event is null, or the date now is at most 400 millis past the last event. And I'm going to actually use a math apps because someone may set the time while they are running this. And it's not like anyone cares though. So this is just our little debounce function. We are going to need a debounce function because there's tons of events coming up. And we can't process all of these events, obviously. So on scroll, back to the on scroll event, we're going to try and display or hide the live block. So if the listener is, oh, I can actually, yeah. Listener on reflow. Yeah, on reflow, there you go. I can try and get the screen dimensions, and I can try and get the element dimensions, but I think I can just use the other stuff. So the live block thing is going to be the live block dot prototype on reflow is going to be a function that takes this. And I'm using prototypes because I actually don't know. I actually don't think it matters. So I'm going to use some nifty old school stuff to try and measure the screen. What comes to mind? Quirks mode, viewport dimensions. And if the code is short enough, then yeah, why not make it work on IE? So here it is. This is the window size, inner width and inner height. We also have the scrolling offset. Yeah, I think that this logging will do. There we go. We have tons of stuff to do. So this is a reflow on all of our stuff. I'm currently trying to cause more reflows, but apparently it's not possible. This tells me that some of the debounce shit isn't working. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ignore all of it. That's what people like me do. So yeah, the reflow event is it's happening all right. So live blocks. Yeah, so we're going to need some options to this. If we need some kind of handler. So I'm going to remove everything from the screen if it's not on the viewport. So I just do if in viewport this elm, then and oh, and this isn't shown. Then I want to split. Right. If do display is equal to do to actually is in the viewport, then we return. We don't give a shit. And else we console log saying, hey, we should hide this. Let's hide this because we're testing still and display the element. So let's find out what we have here. This is actually showing stuff that's kind of parallel to the, yeah, we're just going to display the live block. It would be nice to actually have a console representation for the live block thing, but yeah, I'm just going to react to reflow. HTML is not defined. What HTML is not defined? Oh, right. So document element. There you go. It says that we should hide the footer, so it's correct, completely correct. Another thing that we need to do actually is to, yeah, we're going to do this first. So this elm dot inner HTML is going to be equal to nothing, but only when this on change display finishes. So on change display is going to be either mounting or unmounting. So this is the showing. We're going to invert this, and it's going to be for a promise. The function is going to return a promise always. Promise.resolve all of the things with the new this.shown.then, and we don't use the value, we just use continuity. Then we set the inner HTML to, is it shown? Then just don't hide it. I think we actually, yeah. This.elm. Try and parent index. Okay, so the parent of the element is going to be init.elm.parent node, and yeah, we're just going to stick it to the prev sibling. Init elm next sibling. So going to try and add the insert / remove logic in a different place. to remove and this shown. Live block prototype. It's a remove equals, and the best part of this is if you have properly implemented an onChange display function, then then you are going to have a really proper removal of the item. So if shown, then this dot elm parent dot insert before, which is a function that inserts an element for another. If this is shown, then the elm parent is going to insert this elm before this elm next sibling, and this is if there is a next sibling. Element might be the last element on the body, and there's certainly one on this case, I think. But if it isn't, then we just add a child. So and child this element. These are really, really old school DOM calls. So you may have seen this before 10 years ago, but it does not matter because if the element is not shown, then we hide it, I think. This elm parent, remove child, this elm. There's actually a this.elm.remove function, but I don't have the capacity to give a fuck about it. We're in the clear, all right? So yeah, onChange display, this.shown, whatever. Let's try and see if we can hide and show the footer properly. Let's refresh this stupid page. And this may be our first step into... Oh, this.opts isn't defined. Yeah, that's a really good point. If init.opts, then init.opts is an empty object. I'm going to run prettier over the entire thing. I have prettier with some defaults. I do not like them. There we go. No. I need to open it again. Yeah. Yeah. So this is what we have. Let's see it hide and show the footer. See what we actually have here. This opts onChange display is not a function. Yep, it is not. So we want to So I've created a variable called done mounting or unmounting, which is if there's an option called onChange display, then call it with the new shown value. And if there is not, then we resolve with null. But it's okay because the next tick will find us removing or inserting the application. So this will get rid of this stupid error. So here we are causing reflows left and right. And I think that I'm going to actually try and cause reflows. So on scroll trigger equals on scroll rate. So after inserting all my crap, I'm going to light blocks on scroll rate. Boom, insert. Yeah, no, light blocks dot trigger. And I have triggered a resize. So this means that, yeah, we get a reflow instantly. Something isn't defined. Elm parent isn't defined. Parent not. So I heard you wanted to insert an element inside your parent node, and your parent nodded. Yeah, oh my, everything has been removed. Why has it been removed? So what we are seeing here is a fascinating display of a beautiful, beautiful bug. So yeah, I think we need some default. I think we need some default behavior. I think that we actually need to store the HTML and empty the div. We are free to modify everything that we have. So yeah, I think I'll actually record an array of all the children. There you go. So if shown, then this dot children for each, and I'm going to add the child, this dot elm dot append child, the child. If there's if we're showing it, else this dot children equals an empty array, and I'm going to take the first child out, and while elm, then this children push elm, and elm is equal to elm.next sibling. Now there's a second issue, which is we need to do the action, and we need to invert the logic over here, and I'm going to show you just how. Action. So why is this? Because I'm just throwing callbacks in and out of the thing. This is like beautiful. This action over here is going to do the inserting or removing of the, beautiful DOM shit that you're doing. So let me just help the children get garbage collected. There you go. It's an empty array now. Children is going to be the empty array. Yeah, shown is true. Yeah, it's beautiful. Decimate. We have while elements, push the elements equals next sibling, and we have to run the action. And this is what's been bugging me. So shown, if you're going to show it, then you want to restore the state. And only after you restore the state do you run the action. And if you're hiding something, then you want to run the action before destroying it. So this is kind of, if we're inserting, it goes one way. If we're removing, it goes the other way. Yes, Bruno, it should be over 400, but I need a proper debounce. So I'm going to ignore this just for a little bit. Oh, by the way, there's a way of registering passive listeners, and I bet that you forgot about it. So I think only Chrome is supporting it. Oh, but I forget that I actually need to do something first. So first, let's find out if we have any bugs over here. We have our initial reflows. They're all peachy. They are running perfectly. We have no issues here. The footer, does it have children right now? Do we have, oh, the menu is the parent of everything, I think. think this is going to be a bitch later. So let me just fix that piece of shit. There you go. It's probably because of the jiggly block. Well, who cares? It's not the parent anymore, is it? Shit, it's still the parent. What are we doing? I want to close it again. Yeah. Okay, guess what? I don't care. We have a footer. What I want to find out is, are we correctly showing and hiding elements from here? So I want to do a console log. Insert remove shown and action. No insert remove is being called. This, oh, there you go. Insert remove something. Oh, it says it's true. That must mean that insert remove is fucked. I think it's the footer. It's the footer. It's the footer, right? So we are removing the footer correctly. So if I look at it, it should be removing. No, everything is hideous. So insert removing is being called, and it's being removed. Why is it being removed? Is action throwing for some reason? Let's find the remove call. Cool. So here's our Firefox debugger. It's become more neat over the times. Let's go into the action. Step out. Cool. We are removing it, so we are setting children to nothing. Elm is the element's first child. So this is fascinating. So Elm is the footer, I think, and it became the jiggly block. Oh, so we are pushing the element onto the children. I completely forgot to remove the element because I'm an idiot. So this elm dot parent node remove elm. So it removes itself, and that's our bug dealt with. Let's find out if our page is still moving swiftly. We have our reflow, we have our debugger, our footer is getting hidden. I'm proud. And we no longer have the console log to prove it, but we can go here and say, wait, where is the footer? Where the shit is the footer? What? Shit. Oh, remove child. Yeah. Elm parent node remove will remove the parent node itself. That means the footer. And the footer would just, there would be no crash because the footer had a single child element, which meant that we just took the only element that it had, and while trying to take that, we instead took the parent element. So yeah, let's take out the debugger instruction here. When inspect footer exists, it has a jiggly block. And it still exists and still has a jiggly block. I think something is amiss. Do you not think that something is amiss? How would anyone consider that the footer is in the viewport at this point? So let's just if in viewport this elm, then console log this elm is in viewport. So Bruno, you don't need the promise resolve null just to promise resolve or on something or null. Yeah, the function, if the function is null, then it will crash. Oh yeah, I get it, I get it. So I'm just going to log this because I wanted to tell me that the footer is in the viewport. I want to hear it from the devil's mouth. Okay, so the footer is not in the viewport. Then why the fuck do I still have a footer with a lot of children in it? Let's just this elm inner HTML equals the empty string because that's what we're doing today. Here we are. That's yeah, that just felt so 90s, bro. That's just the 90s. And the footer is now something that actually exists. As the sidebar jumps up and down, the hover menu up there doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't have any children. The sidebar is over here, and the git block is done with. So I'm going to try and correct the resolve null thing. Yeah, you are perfectly correct. Just take this. Action equals da-da-da. And I completely forgot why I wanted this to be a promise. So action equals onChange display and onChange display. And we actually do then over here. If the thing fails to remove or insert, it can throw. So, oh yeah, that would change nothing. Who cares though, right? I should have some sort of error handling. It should be really neat to have some error handling over here. Sometimes, you know, JavaScript is an amazing language. Just resolve here. Yeah. And here we should have some sort of set some. Okay, I'm starting to display state. So yeah. So this is where we leave this is where I leave the stream now because I have my own stuff to do and I can't be having YouTube videos longer than an hour. So let's try to see how that goes. So next up we are going to have a to-do for I don't know. I want to use passive listeners here. The other one is I want some state that says I'm starting to display or I'm finishing the display. And yeah, then we want to publish this module for all to use. Oh, we also want a proper debounce. And yeah, that's me. Thanks, everyone.